Okay. And today is not surprisingly, today is National Pumpkin Day and 5 days before Halloween. I hope everyone got their Halloween candy and has begun to enjoy it. Oh, wait a minute. Everyone's gotten their Halloween candy. And so I hope everyone has their costumes picked out. So I've asked someone every week kind of on the spot to read the four-way test. And today I'm going to ask our president to read it. So the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And now, I don't know if I saw past President Tom on yet. Tom, you out there? I don't think so. So I'll tell you what, Mike Newman, I know you're out there. Would you like
He's
to?
there. He's there. He's muted.
Oh, Tom's there. Hi, Tom. I didn't see you. I apologize. There you are.
Okay, everybody, put your right hand over your left heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance,
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mute myself. Okay, and here we go. Past President Mike, could you give us a thought for the day?
Well, there's obviously a lot to pray for in the world today, but with Steve and Lindsey joining us, I thought it would be appropriate to offer a farmer's prayer. So here's the farmer's prayer. God of all creation, we give you thanks for those who cultivate the earth, for those who wake before dawn and labor in the fields, for those who care for livestock, for those who plant and tend with care. We pray they know they are appreciated beyond measure. Too often we overlook the gift of farmers as we grow ever more distance from the processes that bring the food to our shelves. So for farmers who keep food on our shelves and make plenty a possibility, we give thanks. Guide them, bless them, O God of abundance. We pray for favorable weather, abundant crops, communities of support, fair economic practices, and strength and perseverance. For the farmers we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. That's very nice. Thank you. Moving on. And today I'd like to thank our newest member, Janet Schwartz, for being our windmill editor. Thank you, Janet. Appreciate that. Okay, visiting Rotarians. We do have a visiting Rotarian today, matter of fact, and we have from the Westchester Rotary Club, we have Darlene Fuguchi. I hope I pronounced that right, Darlene. Thank you. Welcome, Darlene. Darlene's also with the Brentwood School, and she's, I believe, involved in the newly forming Interact Club at Brentwood. Darlene, is there anything you want to share with Westwood Village?
Actually, the club has been around for a long time, but hasn't officially connected with Westwood for a while. 50 years.
Really?
So
oh my gosh.
I was like, this is a problem. And as a member of Westchester Rotary Club, you know, I really wanted to start connecting more on behalf of the students.
So yeah, that's great. I'm glad we're making that connection. That's awesome. I didn't realize that. Good to know. Good to know, Darlene. Thank you. And so hope to see you again on a Zoom here or in person. Actually, in person. We meet at Hillel at UCLA. So hope to see you there with some of the Interact kids. Also on the Zoom is Sarah Huang, who's the president of the Rotaract Club at UCLA. So you'll hear from Sarah in a few minutes. Guests of Rotarians. We do have a guest besides our speaker. We have a special guest. We have Christine Clayberg, which a lot of us have already met Christine a couple of times, and we're real excited. Christine, you're here joining us again today for a Rotary meeting, and we hope it becomes a real habit of yours to be with us weekly. Mark and I will be meeting with Christine to share a bit about Rotary and Westwood Village Rotary in particular. And And I have a feeling we might have a new member here, a wonderful new member. So welcome, Christine. Welcome. Any other guests besides our speakers, which you'll hear more from being introduced by Bill Rowan in a few minutes. Anyone else? I don't. We had our Rotaractors. We had Ricky and Sarah on. Welcome, guys. We'll hear about the Rotaract program that was held this past weekend at UCLA in a minute. So other than that, I think we're okay with we've introduced our guests today. Welcome again, everyone. Okay, here we are. Sarah, would you like to, and Sarah, I put on a few photos too from the event. So
Yeah, go ahead
see
and
if you
share
can
those
share those
photos.
photos. Anyway, Sarah, why don't you share with everyone our weekend event at UCLA?
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And yeah, I didn't expect the recap to be at the front of the presentation. But hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm a fourth year here at UCLA. If you haven't met me already, I'm the president of Rotaract Club at UCLA. And Ricky is our vice president. Can you hear me pretty well?
Yes.
All right, so then this past Saturday, we had a Rotaract, Interact, and Rotary event. So we had quite a few Rotarians and we had a lot of interactors. We had 36 interactors come to our high school, and they came here to have a Q&A panel with the Rotarians. They had a lot of different talks about college life, community service, what it means to be at Rotaract with the Rotaractors. They were able to ask a lot of different questions. And then they had a community service event followed by lunch, and then finally the famous UCLA tour by our own Rotaractors. I think it was a fantastic event where people got to meet everyone across all ages, and then there's a lot of connections that were made between the various levels of Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Interactors. It was a very fun event that had a lot of planning, and I'm so thankful for Westwood Village for being there. You played a huge part and had a huge presence at our event. A lot of the students gave us a lot of feedback, and they said they were very happy because they thought it was just like, oh, we're going to come to UCLA, and that they're just going to sit down, listen to stuff, and then go. But then they had a lot of interaction for everyone else, which is not what they were expecting, and they hope to be back soon, and we hope to have them back as well. We want to have this event again in spring, and we're going to go for bigger and better. We're going to shoot for around 75 students to 100 students, and we asked our entire club, like, how many students do you think we can handle? And they want to handle that many students. But I really want to give a huge shout out to Steve, to Gordon, to Dave for being there. And Ricky, do you want to add anything else?
No, that was perfectly summed up. I just wanted to say thank you as well. I'm Ricky Ramirez. I'm the VP at UCLA Rotaract. I'm also on the district Rotaract board. I just got promoted to the district Rotaract representative. So I was working hand in hand with a lot of the Rotarians like Shireen from Van Nuys, Brenda Jaramillo from CRLU, and Chris Reyes, if you're familiar with those big names in like SAG and youth service area. So special shout out to everyone. I'm really glad that we had our sponsor support. Thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And we also had really good feedback from our Rotaractors. They really enjoyed your presence there as well. So thank you for coming out and talking to them and just being a big part of this.
Oh, you guys are welcome. It was fun. I really had a good time. And I know Gordon and Dave did as well. And we were very impressed in all aspects of the morning and afternoon activities. And we definitely look forward to being involved in the spring program as well. So thanks again to both of you, and pass on our thanks to all the Rotaractors. They just knocked it out of the park. It's wonderful. Okay, moving on. Here's some photos. Let's go through the photos. I think this is the Rotaractors who were there that day, and I think some actually Rotarians are in that photo as well. And another photo with, I think, some of the students involved in that. I think most of those are students, actually, the interacts.
Yeah, all those were interactors.
Okay. Sarah, you want to maybe just talk about this for a sec?
Yeah, so that was our community service event that we did with the students. So we made about 200 sandwiches, a mix of PB&J and turkey and cheese sandwiches, and we were able to give them out to the homeless that were around the LA region. So it was a very wonderful event. All the students were having fun. It was like maybe a little competitive, if anything, but they were like putting out the sandwiches like no other.
And then here's just another group. Here's Dave and Gordon and myself and some of the Rotaractors at it was in Kirchhoff Hall in they call it the salon. It was a lovely room. Just to be there was a pleasure. Okay, moving on. Okay, thank you again, guys. Carol, yesterday you and I were out at the VA, and it was the Heroes Band of Heroes. I have some pictures here too, by the way, Carol. Do you want to give a short recap on yesterday's activities? Carol Rosenstein?
Carol, you're muted. Unmute yourself. I can read your lips.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. So delighted to be here and very grateful to share this quick report. Finally, our Band of Heroes has relaunched on the campus of the West LA VA. Prior to COVID, we were in the Home for Heroes, and now we are at the 9-hole golf course, which is a fabulous destination. And yesterday was our second launch. It was a small turnout because there was another bigger launch celebration on campus at the VA celebrating homes for the homeless. So I guess that took precedence over our music group yesterday. But anyhow, we are ready to rock and roll. Music Men's Minds has given 30 instruments as donations that are on tap at the golf clubhouse. And thank you to Westwood Village Rotary for partnering Music Men's Minds in this amazing project. So proud to be able to have my club wrap around this particular band. And thank you to Steve and to Peter and Shirley and Marsha, your beloved wife, and Marsha Hunt. Thank you for coming to be with us on campus, on the VA campus. I also would like to tell you that we have started a student organization on campus at UCLA called Music Men's Minds Organization. We had 170 signups. We're now doing Monday night at 5 meetings on campus. And the reason for this is that we are educating seniors or educating students.
Who is this?
We're educating students on campus how to interact with seniors with neurodegenerative diseases. We are connected now to the Herb Alpert School of Music. We want to connect to the Rotaractors, of course. And so that is one of our big endeavors at this time. Another big endeavor is Music Men's Minds is now serving in the county of Los Angeles. The county has asked Music Men's Minds to open up 16 in-person music groups for the underserved. We have started group number 1, which is in Echo Park. Wrapped around that club, wrapped around that event are several Rotary clubs from that area. As we move forward with our district partnering us to help to serve the underserved in the music groups that are to be coming. The first one is at Echo Park, as I told you. It is also a pilot study, and we are working with researchers from USC and UCLA. There'll be a second pilot study at our second location, which will be in Inglewood. Wrapped around that group will be the Inglewood Rotary Club. So we are moving and having so much music fun, serving actually the world, because Rotary International clubs have stepped up to partner Music Men's Minds. And this project is just bigger than I ever could have dreamed of. So
thank you, Carol. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Steve.
You're welcome. There's a couple of photos from yesterday that follows here. This is the group afterwards. You can see it was a beautiful day. And here's one of the performers on the left. It was Jim, wasn't it, Carol?
Jim Rich.
He was playing both saxes at the same time. I've never seen anything like that. It was amazing. It was amazing. And then on the right were a duet. I don't remember their names. Carol, you might want to share their names.
Yes, Mags is and Bob are from our Treble Makers in Beverly Hills. And Mags has joined our Fifth Dementia Band, which rehearses on Thursdays in Brentwood. And they know each other from the Treble Makers.
Got it. Okay, let's see. Just a couple more pictures. This gentleman, he's 95 years old,
A
and he
veteran
sang the September song.
and a veteran of World War II.
Yes. What's his name again, Carol?
Larry.
Larry. That's right. Larry. He's a character. These people were all fun just to be with, and in presence of yesterday. I look forward to next week and the week after, when there aren't conflicts, and it allows for a larger turnout. But it still was a lot of fun yesterday. Marcia and I had a great time.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Please share
Okay.
your pictures. Please share your pictures, President Steve.
Oh yeah, I'll send those over to you, Carol. Yeah, I'll get those over to you.
Thank you.
Anyway, moving on. And here's some quick announcements. This Saturday is the Rotary Peace Walk. Marcia Hunt has organized it. Marcia, just 30 seconds about the event this Saturday. And I guess it's not too late to sign up, or is it?
I think you can still sign up. They maybe have gotten all the 100 t-shirts sold, but you can sign up, I'm sure. And there might be a few left. But this Saturday, if people can start getting there at about, between 8:30 and 9, because we want to start our program right at 9 o'clock. And it'll be a very short program with our district governor, and the Councilwoman Hutt of that district will be in attendance. And we have a couple of speakers. And we have signs made. You can carry a little sign if you want to, like peace in our city, peace in our neighborhoods, that sort of thing. And it's a short walk. It'll be, like a mile, maybe even a tad less. And it's all flat. It's not like Westwood with, hills up and down all over the place. It's all flat. And if you can, we'll have the t-shirts there if for the people that have purchased them, and they can change into it, and it'll be fun, and it'll be exciting, and I hope more of you can attend.
Outstanding, Marcia and Carol, you've both earned your Rotarian at Work t-shirt. So I will get these t-shirts to you, Marcia. I'll bring it yours Saturday, and Carol, next time I attend one of the Band of Heroes, I'll bring your t-shirt. So hope you guys like it, and thank you so much for your service, both of your services to Rotary. It's great. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
I'll have your t-shirt for you this Saturday, Marcia. Moving on, next Saturday the 4th is the district breakfast. You can sign up for it at the 5280.org website. Then Sunday, and we're sold out, and we're having at Peter and Shirley Moore's home is the spouses Sunday afternoon get together, afternoon tea, and it's going to be a wonderful event. And I thank Peter and Shirley for opening their home, and Marcia, my wife Marcia, and Shirley and Watchery Fell for organizing this, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I look forward to seeing those who are in attendance there. It's going to be awesome. Saturday, November 18th. This is a tentative date. I've been talking with Dave, and Dave's been talking with Gina over at VCC, Volunteers Cleaning Communities, and we're talking about our next cleanup on Saturday, November 18th. So more information to come on that. Also on Saturday is the Rise Against Hunger, organized by the South Bay Sunrise Rotary Club. So there's 2 events that day that we're probably going to participate in. So if some folks feel that maybe the cleanup isn't for them, travel down to the Y in Torrance, I think it's the Torrance Y, and help pack food for homeless families. It's a wonderful program that's been going on for many years, organized by the South Bay Sunrise Rotary Club. So if you're interested in maybe participating in this, I would recommend reaching out to David Hensler at the South Bay Sunrise Rotary Club. I'll send out a second email, or I'll send out an email after this with his contact information. Foundation celebration, November 19th, Sunday, November 19th at the Marriott in Marina Del Rey. Past President Gordon has sent out an email this week just reminding those who purchased raffle tickets in the past and those who haven't that, we need to get your $100 per book so we can get that money over to the district. And I thank Diane, past President Diane, for putting the basket together this year. Silent auction items are available, or would be donations would be appreciated. So if anyone is interested in donating something, be it sporting tickets, be it restaurant, be it a travel package, whatever you think might be of interest, please let me know and I can provide the contact information for you. And lastly, as Mark mentioned a little bit ago, he's going past President Mark's going to talk about the 2024 humanitarian trip and how to sign up and what's involved in that, and kind of give you perspective on past trips that he's been associated with. So it's going to be a nice mini program next week. So please come and see it. And so that's it, our announcements for now. So moving on, Taya. There it is. Okay. At this point, I'd like to turn it over.
Steve,
Pardon me?
before we start, I'd like to talk about next week.
I will, Ben, I haven't forgot. There's a spot for you. Just be patient, okay?
All right, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So today, at this point, I'd like to have our own Bill UCLA Rowan introduce our speakers today, Steve Cottom and Lindsey Clarke from Montana. Bill, would you like to take over?
I got it. Good afternoon to everybody. Explain how this has come about. Every year I have a group of fraternity brothers that go to Montana to spend a week fly fishing. And we stay at my friend's ranch, which is close to the town of Dillon. And across the highway is another large farm that grows seed potato, which we had an opportunity to do a tour 2 years ago, and was taken by the owner, which is Steve, who's here, and his daughter Lindsey. The family has owned this for a lot of years, and but us living in the city, we have little opportunity to see or understand what goes on to get a potato on our plate. I asked Steve if he would talk to our Rotary group and tell us about life of the seed potato, which he agreed to do after harvest. And now is the time. And here, all the way from 20 degrees today in Dillon, Montana, is Steve Cotton and his daughter, Lindsey Clarke.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Bill.
You.
So as Bill mentioned, I'm Steve Cottom. I'm a 4th generation potato farmer from Dillon, Montana. It's in the southwestern corner of the state. My daughter Lindsey joined the operation a number of years ago. Her expertise is more in HR with some bigger companies, and she came back to the farm, and her husband's actually involved now too. He gave up ER docking and came to the farm this spring. So we do have some sort of a draw here for expertise, which we desperately need. So we've got some of the next generation involved, and actually my father is still involved. He's 87. He still comes out and operates equipment when we let him, and as long as we set up the guidance and the electronics, he's good to go. And so it's a kind of a family affair. We're as I mentioned, I'm 4th generation. My great grandfather started in Leadore, Idaho area in late 1800s, early 1900s. And then my grandfather came to Dillon in about the 1930s, looking for better soil and a better climate for raising potatoes. So we've been here ever since, and have a nice operation, and have enjoyed giving tours to folks like Bill and all that come around and trying to educate, the city folks as to what we do out here in the country. We raise about 3,000 acres of irrigated crop. About 550 to 600 acres are actually potatoes. And we only plant potatoes 1 year in a row on any given piece of ground. So we're always rotating with small grains, primarily spring wheat and alfalfa hay. So because of our elevation here, we're at 5,200 feet. We have a pretty short growing season, so we're limited as to the crops we can grow. But we run a real nice rotation. It all complements itself as far as the different crops and the different tools we have to control weeds and disease and so on. So that's sort of the gist of our deal, and maybe I'll turn it over to Lindsey to start just going through a few slides and explaining a few of the processes.
Sure, sounds good. At any point, if anyone has questions, just speak up or throw them in the chat. I think we'll be able to capture those. Bill, so this is a map here of the majority of the operation. Bill, you would have been, let's see, somewhere over in,
That was what we had to see.
yeah, somewhere over in this vicinity here. And so you can see this is, the overall layout. This comes from a software that we use to help manage some of our application, but provides just a nice visual. That pinkish color is alfalfa in this year. The greenish color was potatoes, and the yellowish color was wheat. So just a visual here of the operation. Let's see. Okay, so what is a seed potato? A seed potato is a potato. Just like any that you might see at the grocery store. It looks exactly the same. There's nothing to differentiate it. The only difference is really the process in which it's raised by, and it comes under more scrutiny than perhaps a commercial crop. Certified seed potatoes, which is what we grow, are raised on specialized farms that do extensive testing and roguing to keep track of the amount of disease that is that we're trying to keep out of the tuber. We want to keep disease out of the tuber, that potato, because it can multiply quickly and then have a negative impact on yields for commercial growers. And so commercial growers, people who are growing the French fries for McDonald's or the potatoes you purchase in the grocery store, want to, have a vested interest in ensuring that the seed piece that they put in the ground is going to generate the highest yield for them. And so that's kind of where our niche in the world comes, is providing that seed to those commercial growers. This is not to be confused with the true potato seeds, which are produced after those potatoes flower in small green berries. So just a slight differentiation there. Seed potatoes, covered a bit of this. This is why we're here. Potatoes are highly susceptible to disease, and that will impact yield. And a commercial grower is interested in, their yield. How many spuds can they grow on a piece of ground? We have ideal conditions here in Southwest Montana. We have a short growing season. We have harsh winters. We have cool nights. These are all elements that are good for us here in growing potatoes. And then we sell our seed to commercial operations. We also sell some seed to some seed operations, but the majority of our crop goes commercially. So when we think about growing potatoes, we talk about them in terms of generations, and it's similar to how we think of generations in a family. And in fact, we talk about them as families sometimes. And our very first generation, we call it the nuclear generation. And those are potatoes that we get out of a sterile environment. They're actually grown from meristems. And so we know that they are coming to us with no disease. And we put those in the ground, and we'll plant about 120 pounds, say, in about 1/4 of an acre in our first year. And this is just for one variety. That variety then will produce about 70 hundredweight. And we talk about potatoes usually in terms of hundredweight, which is 100 pounds equals 1 hundredweight. So we end up dividing all of our pounds by 100. So about 70 hundredweight of seed is produced by that nuclear crop, and it will then plant 5 acres of seed the next year. And we call that our G1 crop. That G1 crop is then, generation 1, is then grown out the next year. And we call that then our generation 2 crop. And that 2,000 hundredweight of seed will plant about 65 acres. Some of that seed we keep and grow out again for us for our commercial crop, which is the crop that goes to the commercial growers. Some of it we sell to other seed producers. But that G3 crop then is the first that's available to commercial growers. So it takes us, say, 3 years before we have seed that we're going to plant to then grow out for our commercial growers. It's a long cycle. It also means that we need to be really thoughtful about the varieties that we're putting in the ground today and ensure that they're what we want to be selling to our commercial growers, 4 years in the future. Do you add anything to that?
No, doing well.
It's also a little bit of a test when you do a presentation with your dad by your side, who knows way more about this than you. Here in the state of Montana, MSU, Montana State University, is our governing body for seed certification. It has been a partnership in place for 100 years, actually, and growers, it's 100% grower supported. It provides lab testing and inspection services. So, one of the key differences between a commercial crop and a seed potato crop is that we do extensive testing throughout the growing season to monitor our levels of virus, and then actually some additional testing throughout the winter. They also help us with a research arm for us, as we're always trying to continue to learn and develop new and better methods of doing things. So what we've got here is first a little bit of a view of our early generation process, which would be that G1 and G2, well, the nuclear and the generation 1 that I referenced. And then we have some main crop. Most of this is pictures, a few videos. Let me just pause really quick and see if there's any questions. Oh, yeah.
Is this like regenerative farming?
Say that again.
Please say again.
Is this like regenerative farming, sort of?
Well, the whole regenerative farming is kind of a new buzzword for, there used to be organic farming, sustainable farming, now it's regenerative farming. And we do most everything we do, we hope, is regenerative and long-term. We take the best care of the land that as we can, and we're in it for the long run. Obviously, we've been around for 70 years or 80 years in this valley, and feel like we're improving the soil and our techniques all the time. But we are far from organic. We do use quite a bit of crop protection products, fungicides, insecticides, crop oils to protect our crop from aphids and disease. And so because the industry does demand that we provide them a healthy seed piece that's going to perform good for them. So the regenerative term is, a lot of what we do, and to really be truly regenerative, I think they refer to operations that have livestock and they're using the manure for fertilizer. We don't really have that option here to provide all our fertility needs with manures or green manures. So we have to use commercial fertilizers and to get production. So it's I hope that helps a little bit for your question.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. So we'll see if my video works. This is one of my favorite little clips from the farm, because I think it captures the essence of family farming. And so we've got, I'll just get it going here. I'm videoing. This is a 70-year-old piece of equipment that we've at least 60-70-year-old piece of equipment that we've refurbished, and we use this for our early generation plots. This is my grandpa up here supervising. My two sons here are helping out with this activity. We've also have a couple generations of workers who've been with us now and have raised their kids on the farm, and their kids are now working on the farm as well. So it truly is a multi-generational family business as well. What's happening here is these bags of potatoes are being dropped into the disc goes around, it drops the seed piece into the ground, and these are individually bagged families of potatoes that represent those. This would have been our nuclear crop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So our nuclear crop, what we call our nuclear crop, or as she mentioned, potatoes that we get from a greenhouse grower that started with meristem stock, and all that stock is kept at the university and started under an electron microscope. They just take a speck of tissue, just a few cells in size at the growing tip of a sprout. And the theory is at that point, the cell division is outrunning a lot of the viruses and bacterial disease, plant disease, and they can get a real clean speck of tissue. And through meristem cuttings, they multiply that speck of tissue into little plantlets in a nutrient gel, and they keep cutting them into pieces and replanting, and they can multiply that small amount of tissue into a lot of potato plants throughout a winter in a greenhouse, and then plant those plantlets in a soil media inside a greenhouse and actually harvest the tubers. And so those are what we're calling pre-nukes that we purchase and plant in the field as our nuclear crop. And so that's kind of the initial start for the whole disease-free thing. And of course we're talking, we talk disease, and these are plant diseases. There aren't anything that affects humans. They're just diseases that affect the production of the plant. So then we go through a continuous process of trying to keep these diseases out, and fungal disease can come in on thunderstorms, but via spores that are transferred around in the air. There's viral disease can come in with aphids and be transferred from home gardeners that aren't using good seed source, and bacterial disease could just be hanging around in the soil or different places. So there are a lot of avenues for infection, and so, which I guess is good. That's created an opportunity for us to be potato growers and seed potato growers.
Mm-hmm. So Dad started, kind of talking to this continuous loop of virus testing that we do for these plant diseases and viruses. PVY, potato virus Y, is the one that is most pressing. There's others that are out there, but you'd have a starting percentage in your crop. We have summer inspection and testing where representatives from that partnership with Montana State University come visit the labs. They walk all the fields multiple times. We'll take samples during harvest that are then sent to the lab for PCR testing. And then actually they are, I guess, barged over to Hawaii, where we do a winter grow out and additional subsequent testing on that piece of potato, on those tubers and on the leaves, to understand, are we keeping the percentage of virus low enough to satisfy, our requirements, our certification requirements, but continue to make that an attractive seed piece for the customer. Here's just, a picture of what it looks like in the summer when we are taking the leaf samples from this crop. This is our generation 1 crop. We've had some of our crew go out and actually label each of the families. We plant them in families with a space or two in between so we can differentiate, and then go out, and those flags allow us to walk back to the exact unit or family of potatoes that may have disease. And if it is diseased, we dig it out of the field and throw it away, in essence. So this is a view from the summer testing.
For clarification, you can't see it in the picture, but these flags all have numbers on them.
Mhm.
So when our picking crew comes from the university, they pick 10 leaves between every flag and put it in a slot that corresponds to that number in a gridded box. And then that gets taken to the lab, and the juice gets pressed out of that, and it's transferred to an ELISA plate. And then we get a reaction for the viruses that we're looking for. And if we get a positive hit, they send us back the numbers that were positive. We go out and try and confirm in the field. And so that's sort of the process to keep them clean.
Mhm. Yep.
So we typically in our G1 plot put out 10 to 12,000 numbered flags and pull 10 leaves for each flag. So we're pulling about 120,000 leaves just out of that G1 plot and tracking them individually through a lab and getting them back, those results. And then we do a less extensive testing for our G2 and G3.
John, I see your question. We'll get there in just a sec.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a view of, again, this early generation process is highly labor intensive. Each of these, this is our nuclear crop, and each plant, produces, say, 8 or 10 tubers. Each plant is dug individually and bagged individually, and then those bags the next year are planted into those family units that you saw. And so this is a view of our crew. It takes them 4 to 5 days to hand dig this plot, and it's about 1.5 acres or so. This is just some of the harvest sampling I was referencing. We have someone along the line, and we'll have some pictures to show you there, who are gathering spuds of about this size that are then either sent to Hawaii or the lab. And this is a view of our seeds of our early generation storage. And you can see we've piled the potatoes with dividers because those are different varieties. I learned early on that you have to label it immediately because they all look the same. And so I'm pretty fast with my marker and piece of cardboard on making sure I know what's going where, because some of the guys that have been around forever can tell the difference, but I sure can't. So that was just a view to our early generation, that nuclear and G1 production. We're moving into then what we would consider our main crop production, which is still highly labor intensive, but a lot more machine
Automated.
A lot more automated via machine. I thought it might just at a high level be helpful to kind of understand what our year looks like, because there's a certain rhythm to it. In the spring, it's always we're shipping out last year's crop. We're cutting and preparing our own seed to go into the ground. We're tilling in the spring, and we're planting. In the summer, it's all about just keeping water on things because we live in a desert here. All of that inspection and testing we talked about, and the crops are of course growing. In the fall or autumn, we have to actually kill that main crop down and get those vines to deteriorate in a way that they'll let loose of the tubers as we harvest. So we're chopping, we're harvesting, but then we're also turning around and thinking about how do we fertilize our fields for the following year and fall tillage. And in the winter, which, we've got about a foot of snow on the ground today here, where we shift into thinking about sales, planning for the following year, making sure the spuds in storage are storing well. And then of course in Hawaii, the winter grow outs. So that's just our kind of the annual thing. So in the spring, here's a view of shipping. You can see these are the warehouses that the potatoes are stored in. We have a big truck here that's getting loaded. These potatoes, believe it or not, are scooped out one loader full at a time into a hopper, and then they run through and onto the truck. Ben, did you have a question there?
Yes, I do have a question. And I don't want to keep on pressing you, Bill, but do you use pesticides of any kind?
He said he did.
I'm
Yes.
just curious. You do use pesticides?
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you think because I saw this, Marcia and I saw this documentary about the soils. Is there any way that you're planning on for the next future farmers in your life, changing how you do soil? I'm just curious.
I mean, if science evolves, there are people that have tried, and they're in certain crops, they can do them organically. Usually long-term, they end up rotating. If they do have a disease problem and need to take care of it with commercial pesticides, they'll rotate away and lose their organic certification and then come back at a later time. But, as far as long-term production with potatoes, and especially disease-free seed potatoes, we just don't know how to do it. Maybe somebody will teach us at some point, but there's one grower in Montana that raises just a couple, 2 or 3 acres of organic, but he's surrounded by his commercial production where he's controlling the bugs and the disease. It just isn't a real viable thing for potatoes. Not to say that some people haven't had a little success with it, but that's kind of where we are. I mean, we're always willing to learn and change if we can see some benefits. We feel like our soil is as healthier than it was 20 or 30 years ago when my grandfather was farming it. We work all of our rotational crop matter into the soil to build humus and do a lot of things that we feel are beneficial to the soil with the rotation and all. So that's sort of our approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here we are in this picture. This is a plow tilling last year's wheat crop into the soil. John, you asked about farm equipment companies adding technology, including using computing power and software. There's a great deal of it at this point. I mean, there's tractors that will drive themselves. Almost all of our tractors, that are used in our main crop production have satellite and GPS, and you make the turn and push a button and take your hands off the wheel and the tractor does the driving. It allows for great efficiency in terms of, you've got less waste and overlap in your tilling, better seed use, straight lines. You no longer have to look at the mountain in front of you to try and drive a straight line, which I could never do.
So you would say you could be getting more product out of the soil now by using this kind of equipment, is that correct?
Well, of course, the nature of potato farming is because they're a root crop, they're a tuber that's grown under the ground, is you do have to disrupt the soil. There's not such a thing as no-till in potato farming, because you have to tear up the ground to harvest them. And we have to loosen the soil. And in this case, we don't use this piece of equipment, it's a moldboard plow, and they're not very used anymore. Because of the risk of soil erosion, leaving the ground that bare on the surface. And we know which fields we can use that tool on, and which ones we can't, and what time of year we can and can't. But we do a lot of disc ripping and other types of tillage, and mixing that straw in and loosening that soil so those potatoes have a nice loose area to grow. And our fertility has to be, we're putting on fertilizer, it has to be mixed into the soil, and then we're, taking out weeds and things like that. And, and that becomes with a lot of the no-till farming where they don't disrupt the soil as much, the challenge is weed control and your fertility management. And, you end up using a lot more. Most dry farmers, corn farmers are notorious for using a lot of glyphosate, Roundup Ready stuff, and because you do need to use a lot more chemical pesticide if you're not using tillage to destroy weeds. So it's all a balance and wet fisher operation.
This is
Good,
just
thank you, that's good.
another example of what a field might look like in the spring, where these are a couple of packers, we're spraying, it's busy.
Yeah. And as she mentioned, the tractors, our tractors have had guidance for 20 years now, where they actually, you make the turn and hit a resume button and they lock onto a line, and they'll run pass to pass with sub-inch accuracy. They've evolved into more automation. They'll make the turn. You still have to have an operator in them, but I can pull up any one of our 6 or 7 main tillage tractors when they're operating. I can see them all on a map, what they're doing, how much fuel they're burning, where they're at in the field, what they've done since the morning, what their productivity per acre is, how much fuel per acre they're using. If there's any issue with anything, they send an alert out to our John Deere dealer, and he'll call us, and we get alerts also. And so there's a lot of technology involved. A lot of it is for my generation a little bit hard to use, and we don't embrace it maybe as much as we should. But we, like, for instance, our grain combine, it's weighing and analyzing the grain as we're harvesting it. We're getting a yield map that shows us what our yield is on different areas of the field that we can learn from, and we can do fertilizer experiments and crop tillage experiments and see how it compares on the yield map. So there are a lot of tools we can use to try and make ourselves better. And we're constantly doing that.
Great questions. So just moving us along here in the interest of time, this is just a short video of we are preparing the tubers, the potatoes that we have stored of our own seed stock. They've stored over the winter, and this is us preparing those to then go get planted into our fields in the spring.
What's the ideal climate you expect? I presume it snows up there quite a bit. So what's the planting season?
Those are knives that you'll see back there. They're just vertical discs. Now it pops the seed pieces, and then there's a certain amount of hand cutting that needs to happen as the seed goes by to get anything that the tool missed and the machine missed. There's some protection for that seed piece then, and it's loaded up into the truck. That truck will then take it out to the field, and this is the planter here. And I think on my next slide, I've got this one. So this is the planter. He's coming to the end.
So this is an air planter. It's got little arms that come around and have vacuum on them and pick up those 2-ounce seed pieces, take them around and drop them off at a point right behind an opening shoe and put them at a certain depth in the soil. And the reason we cut them is because we only need about a 2-ounce seed piece. So, we start out with full grown potatoes, and as long as they have an eye on each piece, and we can cut them into smaller pieces and get more seed pieces per acre out of our production. The industry has determined that about a 2-ounce seed piece is a good combination of total energy in that seed piece to produce and start a plant, get a root system going, and so that's sort of where the industry is narrowed in on seed pieces.
So Lindsay and Steve, we have a few minutes left.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind as we wrap up at 1:30.
Good. So we'll just kind of fly through a few of these. This is just summer. We do have a regular spray schedule to protect our crops from bugs, aphids in particular. We're monitoring the water. An example of, this is our crew out visually looking for indications of the disease. The ones who've hunted for a long time can see on the leaves. Sometimes there's a mosaic, a slight yellowing of the leaves. I certainly can't see it, but they can. They've developed an eye for it.
It's a pretty flower. It's a very pretty flower.
It's a beautiful flower. They're not there for long. What, a week?
No, yeah, a couple weeks. It depends.
It kind of depends, but they're beautiful when they're in this stage. Most of what we grow is white. We do have one variety that has a purple flower on it as well. We'll test these for their fertility and the level of nitrogen in them throughout the year, or excuse me, throughout the growing season. Send those.
So you're seeing a lab report there so we'll pull a petiole sample every week or two, send to a lab, and they'll tell us what our nutrient level, our fertility level is in those leaves, and correlate that to what the acceptable plant needs are at that growth stage, and give us a recommendation. Do we need more nitrogen or more phosphorus or whatever in our fertility system?
Nice.
Yeah, and then we're to harvest. And so, this is an example where those leaves have been, the plant itself has died, allows us to get in and actually dig the tubers up out of the ground. The two pieces of equipment on the right are digging potatoes and dropping them in between them. And then this larger machine on the left comes along and picks up what these other two tractors have dug, and then also digs the center. So what are we digging? 12 rows?
12 rows.
Yeah.
And that machine that's loading can actually, in good conditions, it can load one of those trucks, which holds about 30,000 pounds of potatoes every 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. So as you can see, there's a line of trucks and they're loading, going to the warehouse, unloading. I see a question there, I think.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question? I see you use Deere equipment there. Any other equipment manufacturer that you use beside Deere?
We don't. And that's mostly because of local dealer support. We've got a good John Deere dealer, and John Deere does make good equipment. So that's why we basically use it, though, is just because of dealer support. For the automation, the equipment in the old days, you worried about oil leaks and broken this and broken that, and the equipment of today is 90% of your problems are computer related. That you get a $500,000 piece of equipment out there, and it's not going because there's a glitch in the software typically, and that can be pretty frustrating.
And so,
thank you.
Yeah, from that field, those trucks back into this system of conveyors, which is a whole other discussion of how they all work, and basically the potatoes flow into the warehouse. There's a tub there. This is my last little video. There's a tub there that here you can see Texas line 78. This allows potatoes to constantly be moving into the warehouse. This air set machine is puffing air up that allows the potatoes to go by, but the rocks to drop down. And then they float, well, they don't float, they convey into a truck for tear. It's our waste. And these potatoes are then conveyed into the warehouse.
So we'll put these into storage in September and store them all winter for our customers when they get ready to plant their crop in Washington and Oregon and Idaho, our three main markets. Then we will ship them to them starting in March, semi-load at a time. And sometimes we'll have 10, 12, 15 semis there in the morning waiting to load. We have to scoop them back out. They run them through their cutters and use them to plant their crop in that next spring. So these are all climate controlled buildings. They have computer panels that keep all the air and the humidity at a precise level so they store well. These potatoes are planted or piled sometimes up to 20, 21 feet deep in these bays. They're 200 feet long. So there's, about 6 million pounds of potatoes in each bay in this warehouse complex.
Okay, well, I think we're
that is, yep.
okay, perfect timing. Well, Lindsey, Steve, thank you so much. I'm hungry. I'm having potatoes for dinner.
Thank you.
Nothing better than a nice russet baked potato.
That's right.
And so your one question, if I may ask, your customers, do they ship to Southern California? Do we ultimately eat one of the Cottom family potatoes in effect?
You probably do, yes. A lot of our Washington customers that have fresh pack sheds and of course the McDonald's of the world are a lot of those French fried potatoes are produced in Washington and Oregon and Idaho, and those are dispersed all around the country. So I'm sure you are, because Montana is kind of the foundation seed state that provides a lot of the seed stock for the whole Northwest. We actually sell quite a bit of seed into Idaho for what we call recertification. It's to be going out as seed for another year, just because we have better isolation and better chance of keeping it clean here in Montana. So that's our niche.
Nice. One favor, Lindsey and Steve, next time Bill's up there, give him a big bag of potatoes to bring home to Los Angeles, okay?
You can do that.
Anyway, thank you both. Thank you both very much for an extremely interesting presentation today. We appreciate what it takes to get a wonderful crop to us here in Southern California and all the things that you do to make it happen. Thanks a lot. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
I think everyone did.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you.
And-
Very good. Excellent.
And so moving on, next week, our speaker is Dot Todman. She's a vocal empowerment coach, and we'll be meeting at Hillel at UCLA. And Ben Fisher, Ben, a little taste of what's going to happen next week, if you don't mind.
I would recommend each of you have your spouses there and invite guests that want to be involved in Rotary, because this is going to be an entertaining, interactive program. Where different sides are going to be given us a singing part. We're going to all blend together. And she is a very entertaining woman, and I think you guys will enjoy it. And
It's going to be very participatory, right, Ben?
Yes,
We're all
exactly.
participating.
Everybody will participate. Even there's no such thing as a shy person in this room next week.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for organizing that. And so we'll be up at Hillel at UCLA next week. Just so give everyone a flavor of what November has in store for us. We'll be at Hillel the first 3 Thursdays of November. The 4th Thursday we're dark because it's Thanksgiving, and then the 5th Thursday we're going to be at Hillel again. November 30th we'll be at Hillel. So we'll be at Hillel 4 times in November, 1, 2, 3, and the 5th Thursday. 4th will be dark. Mike Newman, I see you raising your hand.
I was just going to quickly ask, do you need us to tell you if we're bringing guests so you have a better head count?
Yes, yes, please let us know if everyone is planning on bringing a guest next week. Reason being is I've got to let the caterer know what our count is. Generally, we count 25, but for instance, when Makiko was here a few months ago, we were up to around 35 people. John O'Keefe.
Yeah, please tell us again the name of the speaker for the program next week.
Dot Todman. D-O-T is her first name, Dot, and her last name is Todman, T-O-D-M-A-N. And she's a vocal
singer.
empowerment coach, and you can find her on the internet.
Oh, good. Thank you.
A lot of info on the internet about Dot.
What?
I'm expecting big things. Ben promises as a knockout program. So Ben, you're on.
By the way, Steve, I'm going to
Yes,
see
sir.
her. I'm going to see her later, and I'll have a flavor for sure. What's going
Okay.
on.
And
What's your
I'd like to.
deadline for notifying the head count?
I would say let me know by Tuesday.
Thank you.
If I don't hear a significant number of guests, we'll keep it at 25. As it is, they always seem to have more food than 25 people, at least the 25 of us can consume. So there's always an extra amount of food there. So we'll be okay on that. So it's going to be a great program. Everyone have a great Halloween. Give out a lot of candy. I hope we get more people this year. We got two last year. So we got a big pot of candy. So I'll tell you what, if we don't, you guys eat it next Thursday. I bring it into Rotary next Thursday. Actually, what I'd like everyone to do next Thursday is if you don't get rid of the candy, bring it to Rotary next year. We'll gather it up. And I'd like to give it to Westwood Transitional Village and give it to Diane, and they can dole it out to the kids over time. So let's bring any extra candy we have next Thursday. We'll gather it up, and Diane can take it back to Westwood Transitional Village and share it with the kids and the parents over there. So anyway, got to do a quote. I got a quote. This is from Joy Fielding. She's a Canadian author. She said, "October was always the least dependable of months, full of ghosts and shadows." So everyone get those costumes on. Have a great Halloween. And I'll see you next Thursday at Hillel at UCLA. We are adjourned. Goodbye, everyone.